Christmas before we get there at this rate. And I'd gallop along behind, clinging to her skirts so as not to get lost or snatched away by one of them bad men, what takes little children and teaches them thieving and such, like the natty lads. Unsteady as a tune on a hurdy-gurdy machine, so I was, going up and down, my good leg dragging my bad one along as best it could. Awful painful it was for me to walk. My leg won't grow proper, see, 'cause of the polio I had as a baby. I've an old stick for a crutch, but it's about as much use as a frozen water pump. While Mammy bought the stock for the day's selling, $1 for a dozen bunches, I'd coo at Rosie and sing songs to make her smile. She liked The Dawning of the Day the best. Mammy'd buy whatever blooms was looking the prettiest and smelling the sweetest. "It's the sweetness what sells the flowers, Florrie, sure it is," she'd say. "The sweetness what sells 'em." Most days it'd be violets, primroses, or moss roses. Sometimes it would be stocks or wallflowers if they were in, or maybe pinks and carnations. I liked the spring months, when the oranges were in. We'd do better on the oranges than the flowers, and the smell of 'em was something else. All in the shallow it would go, so as little Rosie was covered from head to toe in lovely sweet blooms. Reckon she'd have stayed in there forever if she could. Better'n smelling that stinking sewer, and them fish heads and cabbage leaves all rotten, and the flies buzzing round. We'd sit then with the other flower sellers, round the columns at St. Paul's Church, across from the covered market. Mammy and Maudie Brennan would chatter away about Ireland's green fields and the smell of the turf fires, while we tied up our bunches and buttonholes by candlelight. Mammy'd do the tying, and I'd pass the blooms. We'd tie them with the rush, we got that for nothing. Then we'd add the leaves around the violets and primroses, and add the paper last, on the bunches that needed it. Mammy said I could make 10 bunches of violets from thin air. I could too, separating the flowers and fluffing them out. Then we'd sell 'em for $1 a bunch, and I knew me and Rosie might get a pen'orth of pudding that day from the pudding shop on the Strand. Them great fat raisins never tasted so nice as after a hard day's selling. Sure they didn't. Off we'd go then, Mammy, Rosie in the basket, and me, hawking our flowers round the streets and at the railway stations and the theatres up the West End. They're always good for trade. And the Covent Garden theatre, what brings the ladies and gentlemen out in their hundreds in the evenings. "2 bunches of violets," we'd cry. "Sweet violets, buy your primroses, 2 bunches a penny, all a-blowing, all a-growing." That's what you'd hear the sellers cry when the primroses were in, and then you'd know it was spring for certain. And when the summer came to an end, it'd be "Lavender, sweet lavender." And then the east wind'd start blowing for snow, and the frosts'd come, and the blooms'd wither up before you'd even sell a one of 'em. That's when we'd start selling the cresses. "Watercress, watercress," we'd cry, and you'd know that the winter had arrived. And then things'd get awful hard. Freezing to make your fingers turn blue, that water was, at the pump where we'd wash the cresses. I'd start wailing with the cold, my feet all frozen against the cobbles. "Stop your bawling, Florrie Flynn," Mammy'd say, "and puff them cresses out. You've to make 'em look bigger so as the ladies'll buy 'em." So I would stop bawling and puff out the cresses, and we'd sell those what weren't frozen, and then we'd go back to that stinking room in Rosemary Court. I'd sing little Rosie to sleep, her in the vegetable pallet, and me on the tatty old mattress on the floor. Miserable, so I was, cold and afraid, and with an ache in my belly from the hunger. But when I saw Rosie's little face smiling at me, I knew it would be all right come the morning, 'cause things don't seem so bad when someone smiles at you. Sure they don't. But that were all before the cholera came and took Mammy away. I miss her, so I do. Maybe she couldn't teach me to read nor write, but she taught me all the tricks of the market, how to gather the dropped walnuts for the fire, how to walk behind the fish barrows to catch a slippery herring or two, how to tie the buttonholes and tussy-mussies. Taught me everything I know, so she did. Things is different now, 'cause it's just Rosie and me does the selling.